Hi and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be reacting to the news that Rodri is out for the rest of the season with a major injury. And honestly, this is big news for both Manchester City and the Premier League. I mean, are Man City still favourites for the title? Or are now Arsenal the ones who are looking to be the favourites? Or maybe even Liverpool? But yeah, without wasting too much time, let's get started. To be honest, before I even start talking about the injury itself, I've seen Arsenal fans celebrating the injury, saying, yeah, good that he's injured. And I think that's a bit over the top, honestly. Like, I get it. As an Arsenal fan, you're trying to win the league, so you probably don't really care that City are a man down, because if it helps you win the league title, it helps you. So I hear that part. But when we start to actually go out of our way to celebrate a player getting injured and being taken off the rest of the season, I feel like that's unnecessary, honestly. I mean, I've seen on X, there's been many photos of Arsenal fans having Rodri being down, holding his leg with an injury as basically their wallpapers. And I just think that's a bit much, guys. Like, honestly, there's no need to go that far, you know. But I mean, this is someone's profession. It's basically what puts bread on their tables. But anyways, before I get too philosophical, I'm gonna keep it moving and basically react to the news that Rodri's out. But I just thought before I started doing the video, I should just address that part, because that's a bit much for me. I didn't really like that. But yeah, moving on. As I said, Rodri is out. And now the question for me is, who is now going to win the Premier League? In fact, there's more than one question here. The first question, can Man City cope without Rodri? The second question, who's going to win the Premier League? Who's the favourites now? What does this mean for Man City? There's just so many questions, really. And before I move on to who I think is going to win the title, I think we need to focus on Man City first. I mean, in terms of the impact that this is going to have on Manchester City, this is big, guys. Honestly, this is very big. I mean, this is someone who I consider to be the heartbeat of Manchester City. I mean, you don't even have to take my word for it. You literally just have to go through the numbers themselves. They speak for themselves in terms of the loss, or the percentage of losses that Manchester City has whenever they've got Rodri in the team, in contrast to when Rodri is not in the team. The difference is big. And to be honest, if I was a Manchester City fan, I'd be seriously worried right now. Honestly, I would. I mean, there's a stat out there, right, that in the past calendar year, Manchester City played 21 games without Rodri, right? And in those 21 games, they lost 7 of those games. That's 33% loss rate without Rodri in the Manchester City side. However, with Rodri in the Manchester City side, right, I believe they played about 174 games and they only lost about 19 games. That's about 10.9%, if my math serves me right, in terms of the loss rate with Rodri in the Manchester City side. So without Rodri, the loss rate goes up to 33%, but with Rodri, it comes down to about 10.9. I think that's going to have a massive impact on this Premier League season. Honestly. I mean, in this past transfer window, they didn't look to go and get someone who's going to be Rodri's deputy. They basically let Calvin Phillips go. They sold him. I think he's at West Ham now. Or is he elsewhere? I'm not sure, but he's gone, basically. They sold Calvin Phillips. They didn't feel the need to replace him, or to at least get backup for Rodri. And what's happened now is he's out. He's injured. And I believe that Manchester City have got 2 players who they cannot afford to have injuries or to have injured this season. One of them being Rodri and the other being Haaland. Haaland, because they've sold Alvarez, so they basically have no cover for Haaland if Haaland was to get injured now, because Alvarez has gone to Atletico Madrid. However, we've seen City cope with an injury to Haaland, whereby they either play with Alvarez, and then the season before, when they didn't have Haaland, I think what happened was they basically did the whole false 9 thing, where Gundogan played as a false 9. At some point, De Bruyne played as a false 9. And it wasn't really a problem for them. They seemed to cope well, because, I mean, this is what City does. They basically cope quite well when they have injuries to their best players, because they've got so much squad depth. But again, I repeat, Rodri is Manchester City's most important player, because Everything goes through Rodri. So now this is gonna. I personally feel it's gonna have a ripple effect on Manchester City and the way in which they play, because usually, what we would see is Pep would try and play with like two eights and like a lone six with Rodri being the whole. Maybe for example, he can easily have, I don't know, De Bruyne and Foden as the two eights, and then Rodri will be doing the job as sitting. But now that, and then what we would see is he would sometimes have John Stones inverting into midfield. Sometimes, what's his name, Joshua Gvardio would invert into midfield. I've even seen Akanji do that at some point. But now that Rodri is injured, who's going to step up for Man City? That's the big question. I think someone like a Pep Guardiola, he's got this guy just the way he reasons is something else. It's different from the rest of us, and that's why we call him a footballing genius, because I can see him playing someone like a Rico Lewis now in midfield. I can even see him changing. Maybe he's gonna play Kovacic. Maybe he's gonna play Gundogan, who's played there before for Man City. Maybe he decides to change the formation or tweak the formation a bit. Maybe he now plays, instead of 2 8 and 6. Maybe he now plays with an actual two deep lying midfielders. And then I don't know. Maybe he's gonna play Stones there. Maybe Lewis. Maybe Gundo. I don't know what he's gonna do. But we've all seen Pep Guardiola just come up with something which we didn't even think was even possible. So I think in that sense they'll be fine. However, where I think Man City will have a big problem is when it comes to like your Champions Leagues now, because it's a one-off game. When it comes to knockout competition, one-off games, they have to go, for example, they have to go to flipping the Bernabeu, they have to go to the Nou Camp, maybe they have to go to the Allianz Arena. Even in the Premier League, in games like, February, they have to go away to Emirates. They have to go to the Emirates without Rodri, their best player, or the most important player. They have to go away to Anfield. Will they be able to cope in those big games? Because in the Premier League, against your Southamptons, your flipping Evertons, Bournemouth, I think they'll be just fine. You can easily play someone like a Rico Lewis there, like I said, because some people even believe Rico Lewis is better off as a midfielder rather than a fullback. But that's a story for another day. But what I'm trying to say is, I think they'll be just fine in the Premier League. But where they'll find it difficult is in those big games, especially the big games away from home, both in the Premier League and in the Champions League. That's where I feel like they might come a bit unstuck. Now, the question is, will Man City dive into the transfer window come January, or will they rely on the players they've got? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see when it comes to that. And basically, the last thing that I have to say about this Rodri injury, if I'm being honest, is that this has massively swung the momentum towards Arsenal winning the Premier League title. Of course, there's other teams like Liverpool who've been very good so far during the season. However, it's Arne Slot's first season, so I don't think he's going to win the title. He's got a very good squad, don't get me wrong. He's playing good football. I think they'll challenge, they'll be there and thereabout, but I don't think they'll go all the way. If any team looks like it's ready to pounce and take this title, if City slip up, it looks like it's going to be Arsenal. So for me, like I said, I think the momentum has slightly shifted with this Rodri injury. The momentum slightly shifts from City being favourites to win the title to now Arsenal looking like favourites to win the title. Because let's be honest, man, Arsenal look very good. Defensively, they're solid. We saw what they did at the Etihad. Played for about 50 minutes with 10 men against Man City, and they almost got the 3 points. Almost got the 3 points. It required a 98-minute equalizer from Man City from stopping them. But like I said, with Rodri being out, I don't think Arsenal will have a better chance of winning the Premier League title as long as Pep Guardiola is there than now, because the heartbeat of the team is out. So this is your chance, Arsenal. It's now or never. So yeah, I personally think Liverpool will challenge. They'll be there and thereabouts. But I think the team that will actually, because of this injury, the team that will actually push on and I think might just go on and win the title now is Arsenal Football Club. But yeah, anyways, I just thought I should do a quick reaction to the Rodri injury. It's a big blow for the Premier League and Man City. So yeah, man, those are basically my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you think Arsenal are favourites now to win the title, or do you think City are still favourites, or do you even think maybe Liverpool are now favourites? Let me know in the comment section. Who do you think is going to win the Premier League title now? And yeah, but if you haven't already, please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.